I always love doing anything Mary wants me to do at any point in time. I hope ATG knows I only work for you, Mary. So on that note, hey, welcome to all of you to another of the Lunch and Learn series that CADsoft put together. Now they're part of ATG, and I look forward to sharing with you the new features inside of AutoCAD 2018. And you know, if you've ever been in any of my presentations, I'll share some other features as well. So for those of you who are not on AutoCAD 2018 yet, this will give you a chance to see what the new features are, so you can decide if there's anything compelling for you to want to upgrade or to subscribe. And for those of you who are already using AutoCAD 2018, this will serve as a great refresher to show you the new features that you have that perhaps you're not using yet, or to show you some tips and tricks that will make using AutoCAD 2018 even better than it already is. Okay? So, and I am coming to you from sunny Portland. I don't know how much longer Portland's going to be sunny, but I hope it stays sunny for a little bit longer. And my dog, I have a little wet, fluffy dog, has been a little extra barky today. So I hope that she doesn't choose to interrupt the presentation. She usually doesn't, but you know, that's how you know it's live, folks. So AutoCAD is celebrating its 35th birthday this year. Oh my gosh, can you guys believe that AutoCAD has been around for 35 years? I actually challenge you to think of another software program that's been around for 35 years. Good luck with that. It's amazing. And it's still like the most popular design software program in the world. So that also is unbelievable. And and the reason it is because Autodesk continues to innovate it and continues to update it. You know, it certainly is not the program that it was 35 years ago. But I'm just going to say thank goodness, because it was horrible when it came out. I started using AutoCAD with release 1.4 in the very early days of the software program. I was in kindergarten, and it was a pretty painful program to use. But let's face it, we had nothing to compare it with, so we thought it was amazing. And over the years, of course, it's become better and better and better. And you know, now I'm always amazed that they can even find anything else to put into it after 35 years. And if you take a look at this timeline, this was kind of put together by the marketing department, which I find amusing, because see, if you were to ask me what my big milestones were in the last 35 years, the biggest milestone, of course, would have been with release 2.5 when they came out with the undo command, which, hey, that was like the biggest feature ever. Because before the undo command, you can only imagine how difficult it was using AutoCAD. So those were big features. And of course, over the years, Autodesk has continued to try to make it friendlier, try to grant as many wishes as possible. The last few releases, Autodesk has worked really hard to grant the top wishes from the AUGI wish list. For those of you who are familiar with AUGI, the Autodesk User Group International. If not, you should check it out. augi.com, check it out. It's free to join. And every year they present us with their top 10 wishes, and we scurry around and try to put as many into the product as possible, because we know those wishes that you want to go into the product. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you the features in 2018. A lot of them, as was mentioned, were big wishes, and I'll be talking about some of the ones from 2017 as well, because a lot of them are carried over from 2017, where they've worked on those features and made them even better. For example, of course, the biggest wish list that's ever been granted inside of AutoCAD, other than the undo command, has been the #1 AUGI wish list for as long as I can remember, was the ability to bring in PDF files as AutoCAD geometry, right? Convert PDFs to AutoCAD geometry. And that was granted in 2017, and they kind of worked the kinks out of it inside of AutoCAD 2018, and I'll be showing you how it's, you know, bigger and better and work than ever inside of AutoCAD 2018. So let's take a look at the features, all right? So here we go. So I always like to start off with the user interface improvement. There's nothing earth-shattering inside of AutoCAD 2018. They didn't change the UI or anything that will drive you crazy. They just made a few additions, what I think you're going to really like. And if I don't point them out, you may not know, right? Lots of times they sneak features in, and since we think they don't exist, we don't even try to use them. So unless someone points them out, you're going to miss out. So let's take a look at some of those. All right. So I'm going to just jump on over to AutoCAD, and let's get going. Make that nice and big. She says, Let's come on over here. All right, so if you've ever, I have another presentation that I do that's really popular. It's called 60 AutoCAD Tips in 60 Minutes. I've done that for CADSoft, and I'm sure you could probably watch it somewhere on their website. And one of the tips I always say is that I always say I'm lazy. You're going to hear that in the presentation as well. I don't like to do any more extra picks or clicks than I have to. And one of the things I don't like to do is when I want to change my current layer, I don't like having to go to the Home tab on the ribbon in order to access my layer dropdown. I want to be able to get to it very quickly and easily, and I want to have to keep going from tab to tab to tab. So one of the first things I tell everybody is, hey, just do a right click and add that to the quick access toolbar, because you don't have to switch to a tab to get to the quick access toolbar. That's this guy up here, incidentally, in case you don't know, that's the quick access toolbar. It's always there. It's easy to get to. So now with AutoCAD 2018, I think someone must have sat in on my class, because now they've added that as an actual option in that drop-down list. You can click on layer right there, and now you'll see that that layer drop-down list is automatically added to the quick access toolbar. Promise me you will all add that right away. And now it's really easy for me to manage my layers. I can turn them on and off. I can switch my current layer. I can control colors and all kinds of stuff like that very, very easily. All right, so that's a good tip for you. Make sure you turn that on. Even if you don't have 2018, I just showed you how you can do that. And you'll also find some little changes. These started with 2017. They just added more of them. You'll find that any of the dialog boxes that have lists in them, this is an example of it, the Page Setup Manager, you have the ability to size them, which really comes in handy if you don't like to use the dreaded slider bar. All right, you can size them now, make them nice and big, so you don't have to waste your time with the slider bar, and they stay the size that you make them, which makes me happy. You'll find that more of those were added into 2018, like Drafting Standards dialog box, for example. You'll also find that if you go into any of the file dialog boxes, for example, the Open dialog box, you might decide that you want to have the files listed by size, for example. And in the past, if you left the dialog box and you came back in, it didn't remember the way that you had saved it. It didn't remember that you had saved it in the listing by size. But now when you go back in, it will remember the last way that you saved it. Okay, this isn't a huge deal to some of you, but to someone like me, that is a massively huge deal, because I get tired of resetting it the way I want it to be. So set it the way you like it, and it will stay that way. You know, you'd like to have them alphabetized, probably most of us, or if you like to have it by date, I also like it like that. It will stay that way, which makes me super happy. See, it's the little things in life that make you really happy. And I'm actually going to jump over to let's go over here, to a different drawing file, only because it has this alert down here. In the lower right-hand corner of your screen, hopefully you can see that there's this little alert down here. This guy only shows up if an alert goes off with the system variable monitor. And I bet you 80% of you are going, what is, Lynn, what is the system variable monitor? And why is an alert an issue? So let's start by talking about the system variable monitor. I'm going to click on it so you can see what it looks like. So the system variable monitor popped into AutoCAD a couple of releases ago. It didn't have a good press department because nobody knows about it. It's top secret. But now you're going to be in on the secret. This is for those of you who are control freaks when it comes to your system variables. You know who you are. Or for those of you who are CAD managers and you have users who like to inflict pain upon themselves by changing the system variables, which eventually inflicts pain upon you because you have to figure it out. Yes, you know who I'm talking to. So the system variable monitor allows you to set up a variety of system variables, set them to your preferred settings, and then if those settings get changed, it will alert you. For example, if you run a list routine where somebody didn't know what they were doing when they wrote the list routine and it didn't set the system variables back to their previous settings, it'll let you know. Or maybe you have someone else who was working on your computer and they went and changed everything around. You'll be able to see what happened, and you'll be able to easily reset them all back to the way they were supposed to be, the way God intended them to be, which of course, I'm just made you God. See how I did that? Oh, terrible, terrible. So how do you set it up? You should know, incidentally, it comes with a variety of system variables that the product support department thinks should be in there. to save yourselves, which just means that they got too many phone calls about them. All right, but you might have some that are important to you. So you can edit this list. You just simply go down and pick whatever system variable you feel is important. Maybe it's the attribute request system variable, and then you simply import that over. You set it up to the value that you want. You come in here, you would modify it to whatever you want. And then you say, okay, all right, so now you've added that to your system variable monitor. If that gets modified, an alert will happen. Okay, as you can see in here, you will see that mirror text has been turned off. Oh no, oh, excuse me, it's been turned on, and I prefer it to be turned off. It's on, I want it off. Oh no, the world has come to an end. So you can very easily click on reset off. And then the world is a beautiful place. I'm going to hit OK. You'll actually see I no longer have that system variable monitor down there freaking out. All right, let's just recap on that. Mirror text. Mirror text. I'm going to set it to 1. Freaking out. Freaking out. I just want to show you that you can actually right click on there and you can reset it from there. That's actually what was added in. The ability to just reset it from the tray down there, which I'm totally drawing a blank on all of a sudden. That's weird. That's because I haven't done presentations all summer. Not too many anyway. But anyway, you have the ability to reset it very quickly and easily. And you'll notice when I reset it, once again, it vanishes into the abyss. All right, you with me? All right. There you go. A new feature on something you didn't even know you had, but now you wished you had it, right? Tell me that's true. All right, how about this? Here we have a line type. Have you ever run into this situation? I'm going to go into the erase command, and if I move my cursor where that gap is, there's no object there. You're like, what? There's an object there. If I move it over here, it can see that there is an object, but not here, but here, but not here. That's because it doesn't recognize the object in the gap. Am I right? Or even worse, if you've done this, you've gone to the line command and you start to draw a line, and let's just say near, for example. I can't see it. I can see it over here. I can see it over here. Oh no, can't, nothing there. That's crazy. That's crazy. It should allow me to snap to the gap. So there is a system variable called LT gap selection that came into 2017, but it did not work with complex line types where there was text involved. And now it does. It works with all kinds of different line types now. There are no rules. If you set that to 1, guess what? Apparently it's going to change the scale factor. That's minor detail. If I go into the erase command, you will see no problem, right? In the middle there, I can see it. I can see it, no problem. If I try to go in the line command, same deal, and then do near, perpendicular, whatever, no problem. See that? It recognizes the gap. Love that. Make sure you have LT gap selection set to on. You want that on. That's 17 or 18. It just works on all the different line types inside of 2018. Okay, and then little things. This is a little. I told you it wasn't anything monumental. If I wanted to move this line type, you can see this line, that the rubber banding line is magenta. Just so you know, you can now go into options and you can change the color of that for those of you who care about the color. And out of all of you out there, one of you is shaking your head, yay, thank goodness, I've been waiting a long time for that. The rest of you, you don't care. I know you don't care. But some of you care. And for you, I showed it to you. Let you know about it. You can change it now. So how about this? Have you ever run into a situation where you have wanted to create a selection set and continue to pan and zoom while you're making the selection set, only to have it forget the selection set? Well, now you can see that you can pan and zoom to your heart's content. I'm going to do some panning. No problem. No problem. It's happy, happy, happy. No problem. It retains that selection set. I'm going to go ahead and just hit an enter. You can see that no problem. It got rid of those objects. It was able to retain that selection set. Okay, in the past, you guys know how frustrating that was. It would get all wonky and not get it, that you just were trying to do a simple pan or zoom, whatever the situation was, or go somewhere else in the drawing file, right? Okay, so that has been added in as well. The ability to do that selection set off screen. There's a system variable. Let me go back over to my PowerPoint. There's a system variable. We talked about that. We talked about LT gap selection. There is a system variable called selection off screen. If for some reason you don't want to be able to pan and zoom off screen and have it retain that selection set, you can turn it off if that makes you happy. But why? These are questions I would ask you. Why would you turn it off? Just embrace it. All right, let's talk about the number one most exciting, biggest crowd pleaser in the last couple of releases, this ability to bring in those PDF files and convert them to AutoCAD geometry. What did we do in the past? We would do a variety of things. We would bring them in as underlays and then trace on top of them. Maybe we would use some other software and try to jerry-rig it together. We would draw it from scratch. It was just such a hassle, right? So now we actually have the ability to take that PDF file and convert it to AutoCAD geometry. It worked really, really well. A couple things went wonky. If you had dimensions at an angle, sometimes it would have some issues. It might create upside down text. If it was an upside down dimension, it didn't quite know what to do. But the biggest issue was that it did not recognize SHX fonts. All right, so that was a problem. And a lot of us have drawing files that have SHX fonts in them. Now, I'll explain to you why. I'm going to blame it on Adobe instantly, because it goes like this. When you take a file from inside of AutoCAD, a drawing file, and you convert it out to a PDF, the problem is that the PDF file does not recognize SHX fonts. So it basically rasterizes them to recognize them. And that data, the information for the SHX, isn't stored in the PDF file. And that's why when you try to round trip it, we couldn't bring it back in as a font file. So did you see how I blamed Adobe for that? Because I did. It's their fault, because they're not embracing the SHX. We need to rally. We need to protest and say, just embrace the SHX, and then everybody can live happily ever after. So what we have now is we have a kind of a round the back door way of, since it doesn't embrace the SHX text, when you bring these files back into AutoCAD, we have a way now to convert those objects to SHX text that, back into a text file. So we have the ability to convert it to text, because what's happened in the past, and I'll show this to you, when you bring it into AutoCAD, it looks great. The geometry looks great, but if you needed to edit that text, it's literally geometry. It's polylines, it's ellipses. Good luck trying to convert that and add an extra letter. You ended up just erasing it and starting all over. So let me show you how that works. I think they did a great job at it, and until we can get Adobe to love SHX, this is the best route that we have. All right, let's go over to AutoCAD. And I'm going to open up a file just for our PDFs. An empty file. I have nothing up my sleeve, just so you know. And very simply, if you haven't done this before, it's so easy. You can actually take a PDF underlay that you already have, and you can just convert it. Or you can, what most of us do, do a PDF import. Pretty simple. I just happen to have one right here. It has a nice visual, which it didn't have before, which I appreciate. And then you simply select the page that you want to bring in. Can you bring in more than one right now? No. Someday, but not yet. And then basic information, scale factor. So there's like a 1/4 inch equals a foot. You'd want to scale this, right? 48 or whatever the situation is. Easier to scale it here than to scale it afterwards. We're just going to bring this one in 1:1. Some basic information. I don't know why you wouldn't want to bring all of this in. The fonts, the raster images, but that's up to you. And incidentally, all raster images are converted to PNG files. And you do have the ability to tell AutoCAD what directory you want those PNG files to land in. That's done under options in the files tab. Now, layers, I would think you'd want them to be on the PDF layers. That will keep the same layers that they had inside of AutoCAD originally when the file was extracted. Or you could just drive everybody crazy and put everything on the current layer and make a complete mess of everything, or create object layers. Ugh, that sounds terrible. And then some other things in here, join line and arc segments. We want as few objects as possible, right? I would think you'd want to do that. These are all other options. Apply line weight properties. I would think you'd want to do that. That's up to you. And then infer line types from collinear dashes. I will tell you that this is off by default. That means that if you have like a bunch of dash line types, it would make each one of those dashes an individual object. So I think you probably want that on. I go back and forth with the AutoCAD team about that. That's up to you. It might also decide that if you had a bunch of individual lines, it might decide that it's a line type as well. So you need to weigh the pros and cons there. All right, okay. I'm saying okay. Give it a second. The bigger the file, the longer it takes. See, that wasn't bad. Hey, that's way faster than drawing it from scratch. So what do we got? Oh, look how pretty it is. It's so pretty. All right, what have we got? This is TrueType font, so no problem whatsoever, right? M-text, I can edit this. Yay, that's beautiful. Look how beautiful these tables are. And the text looks great, the dimensions look great. If I come over here to this raster image, it looks great. It's a PNG file. Okay, this is where the wheels fall off, folks. This up here is TrueType, no problem. But this here, look, check this out. What? That's a polyline. What's happening right now? Polyline. So if I needed to edit this, this would be just, I'd have to erase it and I'd have to type in all that text again. Oh, I'd be cranky. I already told you I'm lazy. I would be cranky. So Lazy Lynn doesn't want to do that. So let me show you what you do. It's easy. There's a couple of steps. I'm going to make it sound way harder than it is. It's not hard. So they're right next to PDF import are these tools, these new tools that were put in. Recognize SHX text. That's what you're going to use. Before we do that, though, I just want to show you that you need to set up some parameters, some settings. So we're going to take a look at this dialog box, just so you know how to set it up. So these are the SHX fonts that you could have in the PDF file. Don't put any more in here than you need to, because it's going to go through this whole list, all right? So don't add any more than you need to. Just do yourself a favor. And you can remove from here. You can add more if you want to. If you click on add, it will take you to the fonts directory. You can add some more in there very easily. This is just some sample text for you to look at. I can't remember what Roman C looks like. I can't remember what complex looks like. It gives you a nice little sample. You can change what it says. I don't know why that's important. And you can also change the order of these. I'll tell you why it matters. There's two different ways of doing this. You can say use best matching font. It will go through the list of all the ones that are selected, and it will find the closest match. Or if you turn that off, it just literally starts at the top and goes to the bottom, and the one that falls within this threshold, it grabs it and it moves on with life. That's what you do if you just want to be fast and you don't care what font it selects. I'm going to guess most of you are going to say use best matching font. I think that you'll have the best experience if you do that, all right? You want it to be as close as possible. It doesn't take that long. I don't know that we get, especially if you get paid by the hour, always do use best matching font, right? I don't think we're in that big of a rush. And then there's this recognition threshold that is important. The default's really high, like almost to 90, almost to 100%. I always bring that down like in the high 80s. It's because if for some reason I just find that if it's too high, like it can't find anything. Even though it's an exact match, it seems to have issues. I bring it down a little bit. And do you want the text on the current layer, or do you want it on the same layer as the geometry? I would think that you would want it on the same layer as the geometry. That would make sense to me. That was the layer it's intended to be on, right? All right, so I just kind of showed you that. Let me cancel that out. They didn't really do anything. And now, once you get that set, you don't have to go in there again unless you feel the need to change it for the different PDFs. Recognize SHX text. All right, so let me give you some guidelines. My guideline is don't put things in here that are not text because it doesn't like that. If there's lines in your text, don't pick it. It's going to go, what is that? I don't know what kind of font that is. Just pick text. Take it from me. So bad things don't happen. I'm going to hit an enter. And there it goes. It's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. It's like, oh, 8 of 8 groups of selected geometry were, so it should be were, not was. They were converted to text. My English teacher wouldn't like that. So 23 text objects were created and used the font Roman S, so Roman simplex, right? And all the geometry was converted, so 0% was not converted. Yay, I love it. You should always show this so you know what font was used. Don't ever turn that off. I don't think you should ever turn that off unless you want to know what happened. That's one of the dialog boxes I think is important. Look at that. It says all text now. Yay, M-text even. Not just text, it's M-text. That's a beautiful thing. I can edit this just as M-text. Okay, here's the problem. This is a great big huge paragraph. What if I need to add in something in the middle of the paragraph? I want to add in another 4. I need to change the numbering or something. Well, these are all individual text, M-text strings. That doesn't make me happy. And I know some of you out there are going, oh, text to M text, text to M text. So that is an Express tool. It's still in there. They modified it so it works with M text, and it grew up so it became a real life AutoCAD command. So that means that our LT people can use it, which is a beautiful thing. So I'm going to click on Combine Text, which incidentally you can see there executes the text to M text command. That's going to take all those text strings and it's going to combine them into one M text object. All right, let's go ahead and do that again like that. And there are some variables. I'm going to click on settings just so you can see what are in there. I want it in a single M text object. I'd like it to go from top down. You could pick the specific order. I want to word wrap it. And I have force uniform line spacing. So this is going to not look exactly the way it does. It's going to condense it. Just so you know, keep an eye on it. It's going to condense it. Oh, bummer. But this is one paragraph now. And that means that I can come in here and I can start adding new lines, another line, etc. So it acts like a real paragraph. I could go and I could correct that spacing. I can put it back to the way it was. Much easier than trying to modify it individually. So I'm happy. Okay, so it takes a couple steps. Definitely faster than doing it from scratch. And I made it sound much longer than it is, I promise you. Much easier than I made it sound. And I told you up front, I would make it sound harder than it was. Like, what are we paying you for, Lynn? All right, so those are the enhancements to the PDF objects and the text to M text. And incidentally, if you've ever used text to M text in the past, it did not translate character codes. You guys, you veterans of AutoCAD know what I'm talking about, like %D for the decimal symbol, right? No, for the degree symbol. What are you saying, Lynn? For the degree symbol. So now it will actually translate it. So it will be a degree symbol. It's not going to be %D. Okay, great. XREFs. We love XREFs, right? And yet often we hate XREFs. And almost all of us have to work with XREFs, depending on what, you know, what world you're living in. You live in the civil world, you have to live with them all the time. Some of you use tons of XREFs, and when they work right, the world is beautiful. When they go badly, you just want to go home and don't want to use AutoCAD anymore. So Autodesk spent a lot of time and effort working on XREFs inside of AutoCAD 2018 because they realized that there's kind of that love-hate relationship with XREFs and wanted to try to make it better. And the biggest issue, of course, with XREFs are those broken links, those broken paths, and it's so painful to fix them. And why do they have to break to begin with? So they've done a variety of things to make the world of XREFs better. And I could spend forever on all the new features in XREFs. There's dozens of them, and it's boring. But I'm going to take you through what I think are the highlights of them. All right, there's a bunch of them. So you're just going to find that the world of XREFs are better. The first thing that you're going to notice is that when you attach an XREF, is that it doesn't default to full path anymore like it has forever. That's the problem. It's not a hard-coded path anymore. Now it's a relative path by default. So right off the bat, the world of XREFs will be better from this day forward. You don't like that, you can change the default. There's a system variable called ref path types. You'll see that right there on the PowerPoint. You can change it to 2 for full path. But don't blame me when the links start breaking. Or you can go crazy and be a renegade and set it to no path at all for you renegades, CAD manager nightmares. So, but by default, it's going to be set to relative. And the rest of these, I'm just going to show you. Did you guys see it to believe it? Let's open up another file for external references. Hope you guys are doing okay. Just hope you're still awake. I'm going to take a little sip of water. Look at that XREF manager. Ah! If you saw this, you would just go home. You would just say, hey Joe, I'm not feeling well. Could you take over this drawing file for me? Yeah, it's just got a couple of issues. Am I right? It's totally what you would do. No problem. I'm going to show you how easy it's going to be to clean this up. It's got some orphaned XREFs, which means basically it can't figure out who the parent is, right? Doesn't know its parents. I feel sorry for them. We have to set up a GoFundMe account. and it can't find the path, the links were broken, just like I told you. It's okay, we're gonna make it easy. This is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna click on this guy right here. I'm gonna do a right click. There are some new options and new smart options that are gonna make your life better. I'm gonna say, okay, select new path, because you obviously, I gotta go find the path. Let's go find the directory where that XREF is now. Let's keep going. Oh, it's in here. It's this file right here, map information. I'm gonna say open. Check this out. Would you like to apply the same path to other missing references? What? Well, yes, I would. If you get paid by the hour, you say no. But if you would like to get your job done in a timely fashion, you say yes. Now take a look at those exclamation points, because a lot of them are gonna disappear. In many cases, most of them will disappear because you probably moved a drawing from one place to another, all right? So that helped a lot. All right, so I still have a few rebels here. So I still have this one, and I have this one, and I have this guy. All right, so these guys are in a different directory than that one. No problem, let's do a right click. There's a new find and replace. I love that. I just need to find the directory where those guys all belong with. It'll replace them. I don't need to pick them individually. It happens to be this directory, this guy. So I didn't have to go far because of the way I have it set up, but you would have to go find that directory where this file exists, open, and replace all. Bullseye, I got rid of, fixed them all. They all worked. And if it didn't work, you could just grab them all, incidentally. You could just pick every single one of those, and you could see if they're in that directory, because if it doesn't find them, it won't find them. It'll just tell you how many it was able to fix. So just so you know. You can be lazy like me. Okay, what else have I got going on? Oh, look at the poor little orphan over here. I think I'm gonna have to, I need to move this guy. I can't quite get to it. Hold on a second. I need to move, there we go. The go to webinar is right in the way of what I need to get to. All right, so here's my orphan. Now, I don't know who the parent is, and that's been a problem in the past, is that AutoCAD has not been very forthright in telling us who the parent is. And if I go to a tree view, in the past, it wouldn't show me, but now it will tell me, hey, the parent is map base. And the problem is that map base is unloaded. Oh, well, how about if we just right click and reload that guy? There's your parent. Oh, it's all happy now. I found my mom or dad or whatever the situation is. It knows who the parent is, and now it's all happy, and now it doesn't have that mean orphan going on there. And then this is just unloaded. That's easy enough to just reload. That's not a big deal. You may not even want it loaded. That's up to you. So we were able to very quickly fix all the issues in here. And then there's other things you can do here. Like, see, I would be nervous about this one and this one and maybe this one. I'd probably pick all of them. I just have a little party. And I would do a right click and I would change them to relative, just because I don't like to have too many full paths. Full paths are scary. Full paths usually cause things to go wrong. You go to the boss though, whatever makes you happy. Okay, I can put that back. And then let's close that up. All right, so that was just, other things too, if you care about this kind of things. If you've ever renamed an XREF outside of the XREF manager, it doesn't change the name right away in the XREF manager until you leave AutoCAD and come back in. So if I took one of these guys like, let's see, like map information, and if I change that to just information or something like that, let's change it to something exciting. Let's change it to Fred. And I say, okay. You will actually see that it changes it immediately in here. And if you do a save as, see if I have this in my PowerPoint. If you do a save as, is it on here? Oh, is it not on here? You do say, I'll tell you what it is. If you do a save as, you take your drawing file and you do a save as, and you know, often you save it into a different directory, it will ask you if you want to take all of the XREFs and make them relative and save that reference into the other directory. It's just brilliant now. Everything is brilliant now. Give it another chance. You'll be happy, happy, happy. XREFs, awesome now. All right, design views. All right, so now I've shown you that you can take an AutoCAD file, excuse me, a PDF file, and you can bring it into AutoCAD and convert them into AutoCAD objects. So for those of you who thought that PDF files were safe, now you're not feeling that's the case. So you send a PDF file to somebody, and now they can actually take that information and they can convert it into a DWG. I guess for some of you that sounds a little scary. And that, for a long time, incidentally, that's why Autodesk didn't want to give you that power, because they kind of thought PDF, they wanted to preserve the integrity of a PDF and keep it as a file that you could circulate around and wouldn't have to worry about the data, right? So now, however, people can convert those PDFs into AutoCAD geometry. So I'm going to share with you something called design views. Design views are awesome if you want to share your DWG with somebody, but you don't want them to be able to touch it or edit it. You don't want them to be able to hurt it in any way. You don't want them to be able to convert it into AutoCAD geometry. And it's especially great for those of you who work with people that have limited technical knowledge. You know who they are. They have a hard time opening an email. All they need to be able to do with design views is click on a link. They don't have to have an account. They don't have to have any Autodesk software. They just click on a link. You're going to send them an email with a link. They click on it. They can view whatever drawing file you want them to. They can zoom, they can pan, they can measure, they can make comments. There's all kinds of, things they can do, but they don't have access to your actual DWG. These are awesome. So, and it all works via the cloud. Like I said, they don't have to have an account. You have to have a 360 account. So I will tell you that. Let's get rid of this guy. Let's actually just close it. Get rid of you. And you don't want to go away. Go away. There we go. What happened? That's not what I wanted. That's kind of funny because this is the drawing file that I wanted. I'm just trying to get rid of you. There we go. Thank you. But so many exciting things happen when you're live. All right, so I want to share this file with somebody. I'd like to share it with you, somebody. So I want to make a join view out of it. I'm logged in up here. You can see I'm logged into my A360 account. So hopefully you guys all have an A360 account. It's free, it's easy, it's, it's no big deal. We all use the cloud all the time now. It's totally secure. It's as secure as your bank. We use the same technology. We haven't had any issues, no breaches. Unlike many other companies, we're totally secure. And I'm going to go to the A360 tab on the ribbon. And this works in 17 as well. It's just better in 18. And there's a simple option that says Share Design View. Very simple. Two options: publish and display in my browser now, for those of you who get paid by the hour, or publish and notify me when complete, where you get this little notification bubble. We're going to pretend we get paid by the hour. And we're going to say, please publish it and display it. It will take all of your layouts with them. There's 3 layouts on here. It will take any views that you have saved. The whole drawing file is now being published up in the cloud. So let's go to the cloud and let's check it out. Compare drawing viewers. It's cracking me up that it went there. All right, so let's go to, in a minute, it should pop up. I'd like you to see. She says it should pop up. I find that when I'm doing these webinars, it takes longer, but not to worry, because I used to watch Julia Child as a child. My mom would watch it. And I learned the importance of always having a cake in the oven already baking so you can pull it out if necessary. Where is it? Hello? Hello? All right, fine. I wanted to show it to you as it was actually churning. It's not going to participate. It's not going to cooperate, so I'm just going to come over here. This is what you'd end up with. It might pop up. It might not. What's today? Thursday? Maybe it doesn't decide not to work on Thursdays at noon. So this is what you'd end up with. This is your drawing file. I did this earlier today when no one was watching, so it worked. And here you'll see that I have the layouts. There's the various layouts that I was talking about. And I only have one other view on here, a little 2D view. Let's go back over to elevations, and you have some basic tools. You can zoom, you can pan, blah, 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 kind of basic. You can do some basic measurements if you want to. You can just select an object, and it will show you over here the length of that object. You can select another object, or you can actually select distances. I wanted the distance from here to here. You can also do that if you want. There's a variety of things that you can do when it comes to measuring. You can turn layers on and off. The layer manager is back here. If you click on the left, you can see that your turning them on one at a time, or if you click on the right, then that's the only one that's on. You can easily turn them all back on. Okay, but the real important part is up here. Because what you want to do is you want other people to be able to view your drawing file, so you're going to generate a link, get link. It still didn't pop up. It's actually not even working right now. That's frustrating, sorry guys. So, get link. So the things that you'll see on here is my link. All you want to do is copy this link. You'll see the link is good for 30 days, but you can tell it you want to extend that very easily. You just copy that link and drop it into an email, and then anybody who has access to that link can click on it, and they end up right here with you. You can even have multiple people looking in the drawing at the same time without a problem. Very, very simple. You may decide that you also want to, I need to move this again. Sorry, I'm trying to move this. Go to webinar thing keeps getting in my way. You'll also see that you can add comments. Like make the closet bigger. And then you can see things like show when it's resolved. This isn't a document management program, but it does have some basic capabilities. And it's very simple, and there's a lot to be said for simple. Am I right? All right, so let's go back over. So those are design views. I'm not sure why it didn't pop up. Don't know why. It should have. Back over to our PowerPoint. All right. So just a few other things, and then I will wrap it up. What time is it? I'm doing pretty well. All right, so just so you know, the DWG file format changed with this release. In the perfect world, we never want it to change, but if the file format doesn't change, then AutoCAD just gets too darn slow, unfortunately. So they keep adding features in order to really maximize the speed and make it fast and efficient. You really have to change the file format eventually, and that's what they did. I find that the saves are faster. For those of you who use a lot of blocks with annotation scaling, a lot of M-text with columns and attributes, you guys are going to go a lot faster. For those of you who have 4K monitors, you will, and even some of the really high resolution displays, you're going to have a much better experience with 2018. And for those of you who work in 3D, especially those of you who work with visual styles, you're going to have a great experience with AutoCAD 2018. But just in general, the performance, not surprising, we were able to tighten it up once we were able to change the file format. This is a tiny little thing, but for those of you with 4K monitors, it's an important thing. You don't need to have smooth line display on. It actually will cause some degradation for those of you with the big 4K monitors. You can actually turn it off now with 2018, and you can keep the high quality geometry as well. And so you might want to try doing that. It should speed up everything for you, just something for you to think about. And then I want to point out there's this command that's been in AutoCAD for many releases, a top secret command. And for those of you who work in 3D, you might want to try it. It's called Regen 3. Who knew? Like, none of us knew about this command until somebody in the product group mentioned it during the last training. It rebuilds all of the 3D graphics in all of your views. So for those of you who work with multiple views, you want to be able to rebuild everything simultaneously. Try using the Regen 3 command. If you work with geolocate, you should know that we now work with Bing. It now supports Bing Maps version 8. And I hope that all of you are familiar with the Autodesk App Store that has all kinds of great apps. Some of them are free. A good portion of them are free. A lot of them are very inexpensive that have the ability to, really bring out your experience with AutoCAD with some great apps, just like with our phone, right? Some great apps that run with AutoCAD. And hopefully, look at that picture, AutoCAD 2016. Do you think I should update that picture? That's what was on there to begin with. Hopefully, you have the Autodesk desktop app running, and hopefully yours is a little bit newer than that, and that you are seeing updates. It's not as in your face as it used to be. You have the ability now to update whenever it's convenient for you so you don't disrupt your workflow. There's also a lot of content up there. There's some tutorials, there are some videos, and some great opportunity for you to get to know your AutoCAD better up with the Autodesk desktop app. And then also, for those of you who are subscribers, you have access for free to the AutoCAD mobile app. You know, let's stop killing trees. Let's stop printing things out. You can actually view your AutoCAD drawing files on your mobile devices, on your tablets. You can view it on your phone if you don't mind zooming and panning like crazy on a tiny little device. But I totally understand on a tablet, that makes complete sense. And there's so many benefits too. Since your tablet has GPS built into it, you can even drop a pin in the location in the drawing file, and it will remember where you are on site in that drawing file whenever you're walking around on site. You do not have to have an internet connection. You can download your drawing files ahead of time. And if you do have an internet connection, you can mark up your drawing file in real time. And in real time, people back in the office could actually see what you're doing in the drawing file. It's crazy technology. It's really a great possibilities there with the AutoCAD mobile app. Try it. Insane. And I'm not able to hand you my AutoCAD 2018 tip and tricks booklet through the phone, but if you Google AutoCAD 2018 tips and tricks booklet with my name, you will actually get a link to a web page that will allow you to download my latest tips and tricks booklet. Just Google it. It's like AutoCAD, autodesk.com/tips and tricks or something like that. They just changed it, so I took it out. But just Google AutoCAD 2018 tips and tricks booklet, and you'll be able to find this. And it contains everything that I talked to you about today, and also everything from AutoCAD 2017. So even if you're not on 18, you might find some great uses there. So that it's filled with all kinds of tips and tricks. It's handy to have. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining me today. This is my email address if you have any additional questions or anything that I didn't cover in today's broadcast. And while Mary is finishing things off, I'll take a look at some of the questions on here and try to answer them. And I know that Mary also is going to make sure that her team gets back to you if you have a question that doesn't get answered. And there's my Twitter alias as well, @Lynn_Allen as well. If you have no life like me and hang out on Twitter, I'd love to have you follow me, and I'll follow you if you want. And on that, I'm going to turn it back over to the fabulous Mary McDonald.
Thanks, Lynn. As always, you're so entertaining. I hope that many of you found a few that you can use of these tips you can use right away. Although I doubt many of you will be calling your extra spread. So, but I will also include in the follow-up email, we'll have a link to the recording, and I also have a link to the download for that you can request Lynn's tips and tricks. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all, please send an email to either Jamie or myself. Our emails are right there, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. And with that, Lynn, thank you again so very much for agreeing to our Lunch with Lynn series. Really appreciate it. And with that, I guess we're done for the day, and I wish everybody a good weekend, or rest of the week and weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.